Late Night Live. Xiao Jean joins Jungkook and Taehyung on Instagram. What they said left fans speechless. The world wasn't ready. It was past midnight in Seoul when Instagram lit up with a notification nobody expected. A simple line appeared on countless screens across the globe. Taehyung is live. Fans rushed in instantly, expecting maybe a late-night serenade or one of Taehyung's mood-setting monologues under dim light. But what unfolded in that 30-minute stream would send shockwaves not just through ARMY, but across the entertainment industry. Because Taehyung wasn't alone. Beside him sat Jungkook, hair tousled, oversized hoodie pulled over his head, his eyes sparkling with both exhaustion and something deeper, something raw. And then, halfway through, an unexpected third name popped up on the screen, leaving the live chat to spiral into chaos. Shiao Jean. The calm before the storm. The live began quietly enough. Taehyung's face filled the screen first, framed by the soft yellow glow of a bedside lamp. He leaned closer, squinting playfully. "Are you awake?" he asked, his voice low and husky. "It's late, but I couldn't sleep." Jungkook shuffled into frame, pulling his hood lower but smiling that small, disarming smile that fans knew too well. "He dragged me here," Jungkook teased, his voice raspy. "Said the world needed company." The comments poured in at lightning speed. "Taehyung together at midnight? Are you two alone? My heart can't handle this." For the first 10 minutes, it was almost normal. The two of them joked, sang half lines of random songs, and even argued lightly over who stole the blanket earlier that evening. It was intimate, warm, like a window cracked open into a world fans rarely got to see. But then Taehyung glanced down at his phone, his lips curling into a mischievous smile. "Should we invite someone?" he asked, his eyes glinting. Jungkook frowned. "At this hour?" Before he could stop him, Taehyung tapped the screen, and the name appeared. Xiao Jean is joined. The entry that changed everything. The screen split, and suddenly, there he was, Xiao Jean, sitting in what looked like a quiet hotel room, hair slightly messy, eyes sharp but tired. "Are you serious?" Jungkook muttered under his breath, clearly caught off guard. "Why not?" Taehyung said with a shrug. "The world already thinks he knows too much." The chat exploded. "Wait, is this real life? Xiao Jean and Taehyung on one screen? The confession man himself." Xiao Jean chuckled softly. "You two never sleep, do you?" he said, his voice smooth but edged with tension. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. "And you never stop causing trouble, do you?" The mood shifted. Fans felt it instantly. The laughter faded into a silence, so thick it pressed through the screen. The confrontation live. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't planned. But in those unguarded minutes, millions of fans witnessed something rawer than any staged performance. Jungkook leaned closer to the camera. "You didn't have to say it," he said quietly, every word heavy. "You didn't have to tell the world." Xiao Jean didn't flinch. "And you didn't have to hide it." Taehyung's hand brushed against Jungkook's under the table, a tiny motion, but enough to make the chat erupt again. He spoke gently, almost as if soothing both sides. "Maybe this was supposed to happen," Taehyung whispered. "Maybe keeping silent was hurting us more than speaking the truth ever could." For a moment, the three just stared at each other, the weight of unspoken things filling the void. Flashback within the stream. Fans watched in stunned silence as Xiao Jean revealed the night that changed everything. "I didn't plan to say it," he admitted, his eyes softening. "That day on the show, the words just slipped out. But do you know why? Because I remembered the balcony in Seoul." Jungkook stiffened. Taehyung's lips parted. "Yes," Xiao Jean continued, his voice low and steady. "The night of the after-party. The way you two looked at each other, like no one else existed. That wasn't friendship. That was love. And I couldn't unsee it." The silence on Jungkook and Taehyung's end spoke volumes. The comments turned into a digital wildfire. "Balcony? He saw them?" Taehyung confirmed. Jungkook's hand raked through his hair, frustrated but cornered. "Do you know what you've done to us?" "Yes," Xiao Jean said firmly. "I've given you the chance to stop hiding." The whisper heard around the world. And then it happened. The moment that would replay endlessly across social media. Jungkook turned, his eyes locking on Taehyung. The cameras were still rolling, the chat still exploding, Xiao Jean still watching. But in that fragile midnight space, none of it mattered. Tell me, Jungkook whispered, barely audible but caught by the microphone. Do you want this out? Do you want us out? Taehyung didn't hesitate. His hand slid over Jungkook's, fingers lacing together in full view of millions of fans. His answer was a single word, clear and unwavering. Yes. The screen shook as Xiao Jean exhaled, as though he'd been holding his breath for years. The comments became unreadable, a storm of disbelief, joy, and chaos. The fans' frenzy. Across the globe, phones lit up with screenshots, hashtags, and disbelief. Hashtag Taehyung Live hit #1 worldwide within minutes. Hashtag Xiao Jean spoke the truth trended alongside. Fan edits flooded Twitter, capturing the exact second Taehyung's fingers slid into Jungkook's. Some fans cried openly on live streams of their own. Others screamed into pillows, unable to contain themselves. A few skeptics claimed it was all a publicity stunt, but the raw emotion on screen was impossible to script. The final words before logging off. The live stream had to end eventually. Producers were no doubt frantically calling, agencies scrambling to contain the fallout. But before the screen went black, Xiao Jean said something that froze everyone. Don't waste this moment, he told them. The world already knows. Now the only question is, do you want to live free or keep living afraid? Jungkook and Taehyung exchanged one last look. Jungkook's voice cracked slightly as he said, "We'll figure it out." And then, with a soft laugh, Taehyung leaned into Jungkook's shoulder, whispering something the mic didn't fully catch, except for one word. Together. The live ended. The world did not. Aftermath. The world in shock. Within hours, every major outlet had headlines blaring. Jungkook and Taehyung hand in hand on Instagram Live, fans in tears. Xiao Jean joins midnight stream, sparks unstoppable frenzy. Is this the beginning of the truth BTS fans have waited for? Agencies refused to comment. Journalists camped outside studios. Fan forums hit record numbers of visitors overnight. The industry had never seen anything quite like it. What comes next? No one knew what the morning would bring. Denial, silence, or perhaps the most shocking confirmation in pop culture history. But one thing was certain. The late-night live stream had shattered the wall of secrecy that once stood between Jungkook, Taehyung, and the world. And at the center of it all was Xiao Jean, the accidental whistleblower turned midnight mediator. The world was watching. The question was no longer if the truth would come out, but how much more was still waiting behind closed doors. Late Night Live. The moments everyone missed, Xiao Jean, Jungkook, and Taehyung shock fans even more. The first wave of headlines screamed about the hand-holding, about Xiao Jean's daring truth, about Jungkook's trembling voice asking Taehyung if he wanted their love out. But the replayed live stream revealed so much more. Subtle exchanges, half-hidden whispers, and small gestures that only made the night even more unforgettable. The second voice behind the camera. Sharp-eyed fans noticed it first. At the very beginning, when Jungkook adjusted the camera, a faint laugh could be heard in the background. Not Taehyung's, not Jungkook's, and not Xiao Jean's. Did anyone else hear that? One fan posted, clipping the moment. Replay after replay revealed it clearly. A low chuckle, like someone trying not to be caught on mic.
Who was there with them?
Theories exploded. Was another BTS member in the room, silently witnessing history? Could it have been a staff member trying to shush them? Or was it proof that Jungkook and Taehyung weren't afraid of being seen anymore? Whatever the truth, that single laugh added a new layer of mystery to the midnight chaos. The eye contact that shook millions. If the hand-holding made headlines, the eye contact made history. At one point, when Xiao Jean was explaining why he accidentally told the world about them, Jungkook's jaw tightened. Taehyung, instead of looking away, turned his entire body toward him. "You're angry," Taehyung said softly, almost like a plea. "I'm scared," Jungkook replied. And then it happened. Taehyung leaned forward, closing the small space between them, and held his gaze with such intensity that fans around the globe felt it through the screen. His voice broke the silence with words that silenced even the live chat for a moment. "You don't have to be scared if I'm here." Jungkook blinked rapidly, biting his lip, his throat visibly working as if he was swallowing back tears. Millions of people watched the exact second the wall between fear and acceptance began to crumble. Xiao Jean's unexpected song. What most fans didn't notice in the chaos of comments and gasps was the moment Xiao Jean hummed a melody under his breath. It was brief, almost too soft to catch, but sharp-eared fans later identified it. Sweet Night. The symbolism was crushing. Sweet Night wasn't just any song. It was Taehyung's deeply emotional solo OST, a song about longing, love, and confession. Xiao Jean humming it during that heated moment wasn't an accident. It was a reminder. Jungkook froze the instant he recognized it. Taehyung gave a tiny, knowing smile. And fans? They lost their minds. Speech balloon, Xiao Jean really did that? Speech balloon, this isn't just a live. This is history. Speech balloon, I'm crying so hard. Why does this feel like a movie? The whisper nobody was supposed to hear. The most replayed timestamp came at the 23-minute mark. Jungkook, leaning closer to Taehyung, whispered something that wasn't fully caught on the microphone. But technology-savvy fans slowed it down, boosted the volume, and swore they heard it. "If this ruins everything, I'd still choose you." The chat went into meltdown. Clips of the whisper racked up millions of views within hours. Fans called it the vow heard around the world. It wasn't just love. It was sacrifice, devotion, a declaration that even if careers burned, the bond between them wouldn't break. Taehyung's smile, the moment that broke the internet. Not every earth-shattering moment was loud. One of the most powerful came in silence. When Jungkook whispered those words, Taehyung didn't reply right away. Instead, he just smiled, small, private, but so full of warmth that it felt like an entire love letter in a single expression. Fans described it as the smile of someone who already knows the answer, and within hours, edits of that moment flooded TikTok and Twitter. Paired with dramatic music, slowed down frame by frame, it became the iconic screenshot of the night. The chat they couldn't ignore. At the height of the live stream, the comments were coming in faster than anyone could read. But one message, a bold, heartbreaking plea, somehow caught Taehyung's eye. It read, "Don't let them take this from you. We've waited too long." Taehyung's expression shifted instantly. His eyes softened, his grip on Jungkook's hand tightened, and he looked straight into the camera. "We hear you," he said quietly. That single phrase sent fans spiraling. It wasn't just about them hearing the fans. It was about hearing the truth. Xiao Jean's final blow. Before logging off, Xiao Jean leaned back in his chair, his eyes glinting with something between triumph and concern. His last words weren't rehearsed. They were raw, piercing. "Do you want to love each other in secret, or do you want to love each other in freedom?" The silence afterward was deafening. Jungkook's eyes darted down, Taehyung's hand refused to let go, and fans felt the weight of the decision hanging in the air. That was the last thing Xiao Jean said before disappearing from the stream, leaving Jungkook and Taehyung in a silence that screamed louder than words.